And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk, where we will be having a discussion about what is going on in the world today. Too much of one thing and not enough of another. And of course, you are listening to and or watching at Coffee Talk live on YouTube or at Prep University, simultaneously broadcasting on both channels Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time under normal conditions, as well as at Coffee Talk Chat on X, formerly known as Twitter. So if you are so inclined, perhaps you can join me there. And also, there is Fistful of Radio. That is fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon, unless that changes. So there you are. And of course, I do read through, as we are having our discussion, as many of the comments as is plausible, so that those of you who are listening and not able to see what is going on can keep up with the conversation. And so we will go ahead and acknowledge some of the people that have chimed in on the live portion on YouTube thus far. I see that Helter is here today. Donna Beaver, reminding everyone, thumbs up, like, and share. Please do if you don't mind. Dragon is here. Mitchell is here. Brian. Sven is here. In Michigan. Urban Angst and Velvet Pilot thus far have shown their hand and said, hey, how you doing? Glad you could make it today. And anyone else who doesn't want to chime in, people watch and don't say anything, and that's fine. That's fine if that's you. And we'll go ahead and we'll be diving in here in a minute into what is going on in the world. And here's one that I'm sure everybody is aware of, because this was big breaking news yesterday. It was breaking news while I was going live. And Puck is there, said Salty Army Florida Division reporting. Yeah, I can be salty. I may not be good at a lot of things, but I'm real good at stating the obvious, pointing out the obvious. And I will certainly be snarky about it because sometimes it's so stupid. It really is so stupid. The things that we see in the media and how they expect us to believe it. Things that make no sense whatsoever. But here's one that I'm sure everybody is aware of. It was happening yesterday as I was talking in the live stream. It was circulating, and this is for Associated Press. And someday, Restream, yeah, we're waiting on it. Associated Press article. I don't know why it's delaying. Here it comes. You might be able to see it. I can't. Here we go. Nikki Haley, yeah, that's right, Nikki Haley, suspends her campaign and leaves Donald Trump as the last major Republican candidate. Last Republican candidate or major Republican candidate. Are there any others? Are there any others? And Puck says, hashtag never Nikki. Yeah, she had no chance. She had no chance. And we'll talk about that. Velvet Pilot says often they don't chime in because they're listening at work like old Ben Kenobi. I'm always there in spirit form with a puppet Yoda. Yeah. And that's fine. You know, I get it. Some people can't. I know there's a couple of people that listen who drive trucks, and which is a good thing. You know, if you're driving a truck, you want talk radio. You don't want to listen to music. That'll make you drowsy. There she is. Oh, poor Nikki. Oh, she didn't make it. Let's see what it has to say. Nikki Haley suspended her presidential campaign on Wednesday after being soundly defeated across the country on Super Tuesday, leaving Donald Trump as the last remaining major candidate for the 2024 Republican nomination. Haley didn't endorse the former president in a speech in Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, and you know, she couldn't even win her home state because she's from South Carolina and she got trounced. Instead, she challenged him to win the support of the moderate Republicans and independent voters who supported her. Quote, "It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that," she said. "At its best, politics is about bringing people into your cause, not turning them away. And our conservative cause badly needs more people." I would think that the whole purpose of being in politics is to serve the people, not rope them into your causes. Isn't that what you want from your lawmakers? For them to just do the damn job? Isn't that what you want? I don't know. That's what I would like to see. Haley, a former South Carolina governor and UN ambassador, and this is why nobody wanted her right here. UN ambassador. You have to be, wow, a major brown noser to get into that position, I imagine. Because who wants to deal with the UN? We all know the evil. Anyways, was Trump's first significant rival when she jumped into the race in February 2023. That's not true. She didn't even, was she even second after the first round of primaries? Was she even second? I don't think so. I don't remember. She spent the final phase of her campaign aggressively warning the GOP against embracing Trump, who she argued was too consumed by chaos and personal grievances to defeat President Joe Biden in a general election. I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people identify with Trump, and we've talked about this. They identify with him because they see a system being weaponized against him, a system of government being weaponized against him. And many of us have experienced that, although on a smaller level. If you've been to family court, if you've been railroaded, even in traffic court. I know I got screwed in family court. I've been pushed around by the FBI way back in 2003. I've had a lot of problems like that. I've had people from the IRS trying to intimidate me. I had an IRS agent ask me for a bribe. I don't trust government. We've all been there at some level, or most people have experienced something. Like I said, even if it's a traffic ticket that you know you didn't do anything wrong and you got screwed. And we're watching them weaponize against Trump to try to prevent him from being a viable candidate. And the more they do that, the more credible he looks. And like I said, I think the idea was that they knew if they could push, the establishment wanted Nikki Haley as a good alternative to Biden, I believe, because she could be controlled, or else she wouldn't have been a UN ambassador. Why would you do that? You know, what a cushy position, but one that you really have to crawl for, I'm sure. So they figured, okay, if we can get Nikki Haley, if she wins, we can control her. If she loses, which very likely she would have, then we still get Biden anyway. And Trump, she implies here that, you know, part of the reason that she doesn't want to support Trump, at least that's what I read into it, is because he can't get along with anybody. Well, good. I don't want somebody who's buddy with everybody in the system that's trying to crush us. Catching up on the comments here. Boogers is here. Glad you could make it. And S says people voted for no one before her. Air would do a better job. Rodney says Haley strikes me as a uniparty member whose goal was to hurt Trump as much as possible. It could be. Spectre says it's all BS. Puck says it's funny that in the past primaries, no one bothered trying to earn my vote when my guy lost. Yeah. And then Raccoon has joined us. Thanks for popping in today. Glad you could make it. So, yeah, there you go. And she didn't endorse him. She didn't directly endorse him because she doesn't want to burn that bridge just in case she has any other options politically. She wants to be on that anti-Trump bandwagon because we're all supposed to hate him because we were told to. And again, the more we're told to, the more you don't want to believe it. It's kind of like in the movie V, which is very political. When they were ramping up their campaign, their propaganda campaigns in the media to try to manipulate the masses in the UK. And everybody's sitting there watching the TV and they're like, oh, this is bollocks. basically, this is bullshit. They didn't believe what they were seeing on the TV, but it keeps getting pumped out. We're expected to believe it, and people will go along with it out of fear. And then Sven says he isn't being sent to get along. No, he doesn't have to get along with anybody. He's not there to be pals with those people. It's not them he's supposed to be representing. It's the constituents he's supposed to be representing. He's supposed to do a job for them. Again, I just want a politician to do the damn job. Lawmakers, do the job. Don't try to rope me into your socio-political bullshit. I don't want nothing to do with it. Nobody does, but unfortunately, most people don't have the testicular fortitude to stand up for themselves and say that, hey, I don't want it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want it forced down my throat. I don't want you to try to manipulate me into pretending to agree with it. I'm not going to pretend to agree. And you get attacked for that. You get relentlessly attacked for it. Or other things are done. You all know what a hard time that ScrewTube gives me on both of these channels, on both Coffee Talk and Prepper University. Hammers the crap out of me. Suppresses the searches, doesn't give out notifications, demonetizes videos, removes videos and doesn't tell me, all kinds of garbage. Every single day on this channel, on the Coffee Talk channel, every single day, I get an advertiser strike. Every video, every day, but not on Prepper University. Why? Not that anyone gets notifications over there, but the same video broadcast live at the exact same time with the same title, same description, under the same category. One gets a strike and one doesn't. Every day. It's one of those subtle things they do to try to discourage you from having an actual opinion. 115 says, how long until one of the National Guard members accidentally loses a gun in the subway or has an ND? There are 1,000 plus of them. It's bound to happen at some point. And Django says, sick of Discord users, basically real-time ScrewTube, and unlike this platform, they will permaban and censor you on a whim on any website they've taken over. Yeah, mostly Google. And thank you for giving me a chance to actually talk at all without being banned. Yeah, and again, you'd have to be really vulgar for me to cut you off. For me to do it. If you made a comment on one of the videos or on the live stream and it disappeared, that's the AI messing with you. And Puck says, more cats to your videos to avoid scrutiny. Well, they're not here. There's no one in the room with me right now. They're all napping somewhere. They've abandoned me for the day. But yeah, they're around. There's 6 of them inside right now because we just picked up another one. But yeah, they do that crap to you every day. They mess with me every single day. It's ridiculous. And for what? For what? The more videos that people can put out and the more people that see it, the more ad revenue they can collect because they take the lion's share of it. I get hardly anything. I joke about it because I say I probably get like 2 cents for every video that somebody watches. That's probably about accurate. If anybody even watches it and doesn't just click it off, because I think you have to watch it for at least 20 seconds for it to count, 15 or 20 seconds. I don't remember. It doesn't matter that much. I'm just trying to share with the community ultimately, even though I'm mostly preaching to the choir. But we're going to roll around here back to Fannie Willis. That's right. Or Fani. I can't remember. And Raccoon says, I bet Canadian Prepper doesn't get this banning stuff. As many views as he gets, probably not. Because if you look at my old history on the Prepper channel, I got hundreds of thousands and even a few videos, millions of views. With 66,000+ subscribers, I was getting at least tens of thousands of views on a video. And then, bam, out of nowhere, I'm lucky if I can get 500-600 views in a week. Just like that. after they warned me about saying the C word when I talked about the C virus. And they sent me an email saying, that's medical information misinformation. You're not allowed to talk about it. And all I did was answer a question that said that I did not do this. I didn't get the jab. I didn't do it. And they burned me. But I suppose if I was a sensationalist channel telling you that Planet X is about to crash into the Earth and you need to dig a shelter in your backyard, then I'd get a crap ton of views. And 115 said I had comments removed in real time on a stream talking about the New York thing. I don't know if it was a mod on the stream or if it was on or YouTube itself. Excuse me, I fumbled that. It could have been YouTube's AI, because it happens here, where people are like, "Wow, where did my comment go?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I didn't see it." Heavy says no such thing as bad poetry. It can't be bad. It's just not good. If this is poetry, is it bad? Is it? It's not good, but it's definitely not bad. I ask, is there such a thing as poetry that's not good? Heavy Souls trying to give people tongue twisters. And Django says, I appreciate the lack of clickbait and doom posting. I've posted videos debunking some of the doom crap, especially on Prepper University, and people get mad at me. They've gotten mad at me several times. And Sven says, did you see the Army Staff Sergeant say she'd shoot Americans if they didn't follow her orders during martial law? Of course they will. Of course they will. You don't think they're not. When have you ever in human history seen a situation where military and police didn't follow orders to the letter, even if they were unethical? And the ones who didn't want to were very few in number and were ostracized. Seriously? But yeah, here we go. Fawny Willis, a Newsweek article, paid Nathan Wade from confiscated property funds. That's right. Because there's a lot more stuff that's popping up here. And Puck says confiscated property funds sounds illegal. It is very legal, but it should be illegal. And that, of course, is when you get pulled over on the side of the road and they check you and they find that you have a bunch of cash and they confiscate it, just as an example, because the officer suspects you might be trying to buy drugs with that money. And then, it costs way too much for you to keep going back and forth to court to try to get it back, and they end up keeping it. Crap like that. It's bullshit, and almost every state does it. I think every state has some kind of asset forfeiture law. And Brian says, if we said the face diapers worked, or we should have sat in our houses like hermits. Yeah, the chin diaper. So here we go. Fulton County District Attorney Fawny Willis paid the chief prosecutor in former President Trump's election fraud trial out of her seized property fund for the first 3 months he was hired, after a defense lawyer has claimed in court documents. Ashley, it's spelled funny, Ashley Merchant, attorney for co-defendant Michael Roman, Trump 2020 campaign staffer, said in court documents Nathan Wade's first 3 months of work as a trial prosecutor were paid from the district attorney's seized property fund before he was paid from a general fund. She reiterated the claim before Georgia Senate Special Investigations Committee hearing on Wednesday and added an accusation that other special prosecutors were initially paid from the seized property fund, something that she's basically not supposed to do. A Fulton County District Attorney's Office spokesman vehemently denied to Newsweek on Wednesday that Wade had been paid from the seized property fund. That'll just be more perjury when they find out. But there's something important here that I want to point out, and that's why I'm getting into this article, because it's been disclosed what his salary actually is officially now. Okay? It says the pair denied in their testimony they had tried to cover up their relationship until Wade was hired to prosecute the Trump case, because she claimed that she didn't start having an affair with him until after she hired him. But witnesses say that it was ongoing long before that. Anyways, here's Wade's salary broken down officially now. Wade earned an average of $25,149 a month for his first 26 months on the case, despite never having prosecuted a felony, according to invoices that have been uncovered. And then it says invoices and work contracts disclosed to Trump's co-accused Michael Roman also show that Wade was earning over $31,000 a month from July to November 2023 inclusive, and has been on a rate of $250 per hour for the last 2 years. There are no current invoices yet available for 2024. So it's a lot more money than they initially thought. $25,149 a month for 26 months is in the neighborhood of 900,000. And then what's the other one? 31,000 a month from July to November. That's 5 months. That's what, 155,000? Roughly, a little more, but $155,000. So he has earned over $1 million from Georgia taxpayers, from Fulton County, not just from this confiscated property fund, but also from the C virus fund and from every other fund she could dip her hands into. He's earned over $1 million easily, plus 2024 assets, and the month of December invoices haven't been found yet. So what are we looking at? Maybe 1.5 million almost for 2 meetings at the White House that he says he didn't have, but he's on the roster as having been there. Catching up on comments again, Sven says she violated her oath and should be reduced and jailed. I doubt her leaders are not bothered. Monkey says, I can remember when at the very start of the Hungarian Revolution was that a tank brigade leader who was heading towards a protest of people. I think it was the fascist rioting. When it turned out to be ordinary people protesting and turned on the order given to suppress the crowd and help fight off the people following that order until the Soviets sent in the troops to control the crowd afterwards. And Puck says it's not corruption, it's reparations. Hey, she's already wealthy. So is that other guy. Helter says Wade billed 2,600 hours in total, given it's an 8-hour workday, 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month. 16 months he's billed for yet. We know he wasn't just working on the case. Something is amiss. And Django says they weren't kidding when they said record profits. Rodney says Democrats aren't even trying to hide the corruption. They're throwing it in your face and laughing. Yeah. And then Dragon says Wade was crying almost about his salary like he could barely get by. Then Fawny gets on the stand and says he travels the world and has his own travel agent, and it doesn't add up. Yeah, I know. You have to have money to have your own travel agent nowadays. Most people just go online and buy a ticket. Who has a travel agent anymore? That's high living. That's high living. And, you know, we already talked about this. I brought her up earlier in the week because she's making the circuit at all the big Black churches in the Atlanta area who are giving her a big audience. Standing up on the podium, when I showed the video clip, I showed I let her only talk for a couple of minutes before I cut it off. But when she was at Big Bethel, she was on for 35 minutes. They let her talk for 35 minutes. And I'm like, what does that show you about these churches? That's my biggest thing. It's already established officially. She's dishonest. She's dishonest and misleading. Plus, she's admitted to having an affair. So she's a fornicator. And there's suspicion, because they haven't nailed it down yet, but suspicion of misappropriation funds, theft. But you'll let her talk at your church for half an hour or more? Hell, the other church gave her an award, Black Excellence for Black History Month or some kind of nonsense. Unbelievable. Gary Edwards says a clear conflict of interest. And Django says, don't even care about it, but believe all of this manufactured hate against him Trump is ridiculous and would be used against anyone else, not in the good old boys or gals club. Yeah. It's being used against him. I do have one more thing to say about Fani here, but that tells you everything you need to know about these churches and how political they are, and how toxic they are to their communities. Unfortunately, Newsweek article, a little bit more on Fani. It says Fani Willis met with Kamala Harris before indicting Trump. Now, she had said that she hadn't talked to any of these people. Now it's been disclosed that not only did the attorney that she hired go to the White House and talk to them twice, but that she's been in communication with these people prior to the investigation when she said that she hadn't talked to anyone. Fani Willis had a White House meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris before indicting Donald Trump, a lawyer has disclosed during the Georgia Senate hearing. Attorney Ashley Merchant showed a committee the White House records detailing that Willis, the district attorney for Fulton County, Georgia, had the meeting on February 28th and 23 before indicting Trump and the 18 others in August for allegedly interfering with the 2020 presidential election result in Georgia. So she lied about this too. President Joe Biden won the 2020 election with Harris as his vice president. Willis was elected DA as a Democratic candidate. Merchant said the White House records she obtained showed that Willis had the meeting with Harris in the company of Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. The revelation opens up questions about what was discussed and whether the Biden administration had encouraged the indictment of Trump. Of course they did. Newsweek sought email comment from Willis's office and from the White House press office on Wednesday. Trump has pleaded not guilty to all 13 election interference charges against him in Georgia and has said the case is politically motivated because he is the frontrunner for the GOP. I believe that. Merchant, a lawyer for Trump's co-accused, Michael Roman, was speaking before the Georgia Senate Special Committee on Investigations about alleged ethical violations by Willis, which obviously at this point there are. There's obvious conflicts of interest with the entire case where she's concerned. So there we go. Let me catch up here. Gary Edwards says a clear conflict of interest. Sven says church are complicit in the systemic racism propagated by the left. New York Patriot says, you know the ship is sinking because Fani and Wade are going at each other in court. Yeah, I know. She threw him under the bus. She was actually, the things she said about Willis, or not Willis, the things that she said about Wade in court were very insulting. And she had implied by saying, you know, I'm not going to insult a black man in court and throw him under the bus, but you know, you just did, even with that snide statement, throw him under the bus. Puck says the judge in Fani's case will proclaim no reasonable prosecutor, yada, 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 case closed. It remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. I don't know if she's quite big enough to squeeze out from under this, which is why she's making the circuit with the big black churches in the Atlanta area, because they're all seriously political. There's no churching going on. You're not studying the Bible in those churches. You're not learning the word. You're not getting saved. It's all politics. They're big, wealthy, majority black churches. And they are not to be trusted. I'm sorry. It's a shame. And I've been to a few of them. I have been to a few of them years and years ago. It's very political. S says if people don't go to prison, this behavior will continue. It has to hurt to do wrong. Yeah, it does. If you're not punished, what's the point? Helter says, didn't Fani say under oath that she did not meet with the White House? Yes, that's another perjury charge. It should be. We'll see what happens. But yeah, she said she didn't meet with White House staff. Obviously she did. Obviously she did. It's been revealed now. And Django says church cliques cliques are what killed churches way more than any diversity propaganda. And Joshua is here. Glad you could make it, Joshua. Thanks for joining us today. And Dragon says Fani met Kamala to take notes how to deal with Wade, given Kamala's experience with Willie. Ooh. Somebody threw a curveball. That was nasty. And speaking of diversity BS and dividing people. You'll get a kick out of this next article. You'll get a kick out of this one. Monkey says any other court case and it would have been deemed untrialable, but here it's stalling. Just have to be big enough to have a case stalled rather than be canceled instantly. Talking about Trump's indictment, I imagine. And be a 3% man, 3%er. It's only about the it's only going to get worse from here. Excuse me. It's just the beginning, I'm afraid to say. Yeah, well, that remains to be seen, but be prepared for it. You never know, but be prepared for the worst. Always be prepared. Always. Fox Business article. This will hurt your feelings. North Face, North Face, the wannabe outdoor shop, offers a discount for customers taking equity courses that say Black people can't enjoy the outdoors. My wife actually sent me this article. She was offended. She was offended. One more here from Chris. It says, I'm looking forward to Biden saying the white rural Americans are the biggest threat to democracy tonight and lying inflation, the economy, and crime. But yeah, North Face now jumping on the equity and inclusion bandwagon here to further insult your intelligence. North Face company is offering customers a discount if they complete an equity course that teaches how white people never experience racism and how the outdoors is oppressive against Black people. And that line right there is why my wife sent me this article. As many of you are aware, my wife is Black. And she was like, how does outdoors oppress Black people? Should I just stay inside all day? Should I just stay in the house? How do you anti-racism trees and air and dirt? The North Face, whose parent company is VF Corporation, launched a racial equity course that states how white people never experience hardship due to the color of their skin and that Black people are barred from outdoor activities because of systemic racism and oppression. My wife and I, we go hiking all the time. We're on hiking trails. We go cycling. We do a lot of stuff together. There's Black people out there. Who's keeping them from going on a hiking trail? Who's keeping Black people from going to a fishing pond? Who's keeping Black people from going to Yellowstone? Seriously? They actually believe this? Who believes this? Continuing with the article. The course, which offered customers 20% off. Oh, man, let me jump on that. 20%. It won't be on sale ever at the North Face. They won't have a 20% off sale ever. That won't happen. 20% off for learning about anti-racism for 1 hour. Contained elements of critical race theory, according to Heritage Foundation DEI expert Mike Gonzalez. Quote, it was the longest hour I have ever lived, according to Gonzalez. Oh, that's perfect. The DEI expert added the course was an outrageous attempt at convincing people we live under an oppressive system of racial injustice, particularly in the mountains. Because, Black people can't go in the mountains because racism. Oh my God. This is so stupid, it hurts. Quote, privilege can give us access to the outdoors. That means some people can enjoy advantages that they inherit from birth. So yeah, as a white person, I inherited from birth the right to walk out of the door. And or accumulative over time. For example, aspects of identity that can give privilege relate to race, religion, gender, wealth, sexual orientation, ability, or citizenship status. The course states, in this particular context, we refer to white privilege, meaning that your race and skin color can give you access to the outdoors when others can be excluded because of historic enduring racism and bias. God, they actually wrote this in the quiz. or in the lesson plan, and people did this shit for 20% off at the fakest outdoor shop in the world. Oh man, it hurts. That's it. If you're black, you can't go outside. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to work from home and have all your food delivered. You can't go outside anymore. Oh my god. Let me let me catch up with the comments because I'm sure they're gonna pile up now. Sven says their courses are racist. Yes, they are. Chris is still talking about Biden. They give Biden lots of dementia meds to help him speak. He has a real tiny earpiece, and they whisper in his ear. And if he can hear it over the voices, he'll say the right thing. Monkey says, I've said this hundreds of times now, but imagine that reversed and see how much it will blow up. Yeah, if it was the other way around, every North Face store in the country would be on fire. Sven says the policies NF support further subjugates black communities. And there are people who believe this garbage. That's the scary part. Raccoon says brainwashing, but anyone taking that class doesn't have a brain. I would be so pissed. And I'm not going to sit there and take a test for an hour and watch your stupid videos for a 20% coupon. Brian says maybe we'll get another discount if we took the anti-white training sessions that Seattle had, which taught the white people are racist. And Gary Edwards says North Face is an equal opportunity oppressor. They insult whites and blacks both with their DEI insanity. Yeah, it's crazy. Even before we were married, she was a very athletic person, and she was in hiking clubs and cycling clubs and all kinds of stuff like that. And that's why she sent me the article and went on about it. She was like, and there were black people. There was a mix of people. There was a mix of people, and it might have been majority white, but there were black people there, and they were on the hiking trails and stuff like that. And they did this and they did that. And who the hell says that black people can't go outside? Who is supposed to believe this? Who believes that kind of garbage? It's insane. It's insane. Dragon says they don't realize that having a name like the North Face is geographically discriminatory. Nah, yeah. And then Monkey here, if you want a rabbit hole, look at Campbell's dream or idea concept, and it's literally DEI 2.0, where if you are literally POC, prices are cheaper for them. DEI will be pushed regardless of profit loss. And Puck says mountains are whites only, apparently. So if you happen to be black and you're out there fishing or hiking or riding a bicycle, rowing a boat, whatever you're doing, put that shit down and go home right now. How dare you be out there? That's crazy. Oh no. There's so many things you can say here. This is if, you know what, they need to boycott North Face now. Like I said, this is like Gen Z wannabe outdoors equipment. You know what I mean? It's like the trendy crap. Anyways, but my God. Outdoors are oppressive. We all came from the outdoors. All of us. All of us, no matter where you are in the world, came from the outdoors. Oh my God. Helter says being woke and doing what North Face is asking is what shows wealth and privilege and prestige today. That is about the stupidest article. This is up there. It seems like every day I got one that's so stupid it's insulting. It's like yesterday it was the one about the whales, about the gay whales. That was the big one yesterday. If you didn't see it, if you didn't see yesterday's, you need to watch it. It's hilarious. Whales are gay. The Smithsonian has proof. The Smithsonian has proof. Once a pinnacle of nature and scientific study, now is trying to convince people whales are gay. Just the boys, because you never see anybody claiming that animals are lesbians. Oh my God, this is about the stupidest one. I know I should save certain articles and do a stupid like stupid article showcase every couple of months or something like that. Rodney says gay whales vote Democrat. There you go, Rodney. Oh my God. And then Puck says maybe the National Park Service can introduce black mountain ranges. I saw an article about that some years ago, actually, and I think it was Yellowstone, because the National Park Services were saying that not enough black people go to the national parks. That it's only about 10 to 12% that go to national parks. And I'm like, wait a minute, 12% is the percentage of how many black people are in the United States. So that ratio is spot on. Yeah, about 12%. That makes sense. What are you complaining about? No, Brian, they were not. They were not suggesting the whales were gay happy. I'm sorry. I know that. Nice try. Nice try. They were trying to convince us, and I showed. You were here, weren't you, Brian? I'm pretty sure you were here yesterday. Showed they showed photographs that were proof that two male whales were having sex with each other. They weren't even making physical contact in the photos. Like, there's nothing going on. There's nothing in those photos. What is wrong with you? Oh, man. Here's another stupid one. Yeah, there you go, Puck. He says, what about the gay penguins? Yeah, I talked about them yesterday, too. That's just more, it's more bullshit to pander to people, taking normal behavior of animals in nature and acting as if there's something homosexual about it, and hoping that most people aren't smart enough to know the difference or at least do some research. So here we go. If I can get this to work. No, I'm not doing that. Close, close, close. Ugh, is this going to do right? Or is this going to bounce all over the place? I don't want to subscribe. Here we go. Charles Barkley. And this is NJ.com article. You may have heard of this. Angry NBA legend. If I see a black person wearing a Trump mugshot, I'll punch him in the face. And there he is. Once upon a time, bad boy of basketball. Bad boy of basketball. Now a supreme left-wing bootlicker. I'll call it like it is. Everybody thought this was the bad boy. It turns out he's been a fraud the whole time. So let's take a look here real quick. Charles Barkley wants to pick a fight when he heard former President Trump insist that black people now have a strong connection to him because he's been indicted and that he's seen black people walk around with his mugshot on t-shirts, which that is true. That t-shirt is actually pretty popular. There are black people who are wearing them. I've seen the pictures, okay? And he says, maybe Trump suggests that he thinks that helps them to identify him better because the system is being used against them, something we talked about earlier. And now Barkley is pretending to be offended by this. So Barkley says Barkley, former NBA star and current NBA analyst, promised he'd take the matter into his own hands or fists. First of all, I'm just going to say this, Barkley said on his show, King Charles, with Gayle King on CNN. If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm going to punch him in the face. And King says, Charles, you can't say that because you don't mean it. And Barkley said, I mean that sincerely. And then he says, and then you'll be arrested for assault, and then what? And Barkley says, I'm going to bail myself out and go celebrate. Adding, first of all, if I was at that press conference, I would have gotten up and walked out. That was an insult to all black people to compare black history and how we've been discriminated against to his plight. He's a billionaire, and they are prosecuting him for stuff he did wrong. Oh, is that what it is? King noted Trump hadn't been found guilty yet, and Barkley insisted some of the stuff is true. Okay, all of it or some of it. What's true and what isn't, Barkley? They did storm the Capitol. No, they didn't. That's been debunked now. They no longer are calling it that. They're calling it a riot. And they did say the election was stolen. So does so does Stacey Abrams. Those weren't lies, but to compare, I would have gotten up and walked out because it's not a fair comparison. All right. What about when Biden said that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black? Did that bother you? Did that bother you? Helter says, what if Mike Tyson wears a Trump shot t-shirt? Will Barkley lost my place serve the champ a knuckle sandwich? I think not. Barkley is a perfect example of why sports figures should stick to sports. I wish they all would. And Dragon says that was an insult to black people over Trump saying they are wearing his mugshot shirts. Meanwhile, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Exactly what I was just saying. Said by Joe Biden is totally fine, naturally. And that's the problem. He's a hypocrite. This is a guy who was quoted as early as in 2017, I think it was, talking about all this racism stuff and all this division and all of this like black people pretending to be victimized. It's all too much and people need to stop that. Seriously, I believe it was in 2017. I'm not quoting it exactly, but he used to be on that bandwagon. Now all of a sudden it's I love trans people, and if you don't love transmogrified people too, I should kick your ass, and you better drink that Bud Light, and I love gay people, and gay pride this, and I love abortion. I'm serious. And then the whole hate Trump bandwagon here, the man's a sellout. His puppet masters, the people who pull his strings so that he can keep making his millions of dollars, told him to switch hit, and he has. He's gone from North Paw to South Paw in a heartbeat because that's what they do. And Puck says that's not exactly what Trump said. Barkley must have gotten his info from The View. Yeah, I don't think that's exactly what he said either. I don't think that's what Trump said. But Barkley, he's going to paraphrase to make it sound worse than it is because that's what he does. Barkley, again, the bad boy of basketball. Everybody had respect for him for being so ballsy. And he's done a big about face in the last couple of years. Trans rights, gay rights, abortion rights. Again, milk sopping, dripping wet leftist garbage, including hate Donald Trump and fear him. And it's a shame, but it exposes him for the fraud that he is. It exposes him for the fraud that he is. I can't stand people like this. And you have money. What have you done that's so dirty that they can tell you to switch like that and you just do it in a heartbeat without even looking back? One day you're like this, and the next day you're like this. What do they have on you? Because you know they eat their own. And Brian made a donation to the channel. Thank you very much, Brian. Always appreciated. Every little bit helps, large or small. He made a $10 donation. Goes a long way towards helping out with especially with our shelter cats. It means a lot. It really does. And also, I have the PO box listed in the chat as well as in the description box because I know sometimes people send us pet food, and that helps a lot also. And Puck thinks that Charles Barkley is gay. He thinks that Barkley is gay. I have no idea. But I have no respect for that at all. The guy's a mouthpiece, and I'm really sick and tired of seeing political and social agendas in sports. It's destroyed the industry. People have no respect for it anymore. Can you just play basketball? Can you just play football? Can you just have people talk about it? Do you have to talk politics in that format? You're robbing your fans because people go to sports. I'm not a fan of organized sports. My wife and I don't like that, actually. Not a fan of organized sports. But I understand it because it's a distraction. You're supposed to be able to go to that sort of thing, not just sports, but television, movies, books, comic books, different sources of media, different sources of media. All right. Sorry, that was my wife, and she wanted to give me a message real quick. Different sources of media as a form of escape. Let me put the world away for a little while and go watch this movie. Let me put the world away for a while and go watch this baseball game. And they won't let you have it. They won't let you have it anymore. It's sickening. You can't escape it. Monkey says people want to get away from politics, not get absorbed into it from games and sporting events. It's best to play the old games where there was no politics on there at all. Just what you bought, a game. And we used to watch, because we like obstacle courses. My wife and I also, we like to do that kind of stuff. We used to watch American Ninja Warrior. Can't watch it anymore because it's gotten too socio-political. It's disgusting. It's dripping. It's like, can we just watch them run the courses? No, we got to listen to their bullshit story for 10 minutes and then watch them fail on the second obstacle because they suck at it. And you only put them in there because of their sob story. It's ridiculous. One sport that we do like, again, I don't like watching organized sports, but one that we do like is the strongman competitions. Like we just watched the Arnold Classic. There's zero politics in there. Zero. Nothing. And prayerfully there won't be. Because then we won't watch that either. Cruising says politics is something you're supposed to choose to be involved in, informed about, and then participate in. It's not meant to hammer at every aspect of your life. That is very true. That is very true. And Puck says, was it the Roman emperor that says, give the people bread and games and they won't revolt? Something like that. Yeah, bread and circus. Bread and circus. But that was the official distraction. I don't know that they interfered with that distraction. They just put on a show and fed them, and everybody was happy. Let them have their peace of mind, and you're fine. Monkey says, reminds me of America's Got Talent, and if the talent sucked, they got a sob story to win over the judges until this sob story ain't sad enough. Yeah. And Brian is correct. He says even video games are filled with leftist propaganda now. It is. There's a lot of that, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting the way that works now. And it makes me think of, with these agendas, I don't care what you do. Just leave me the hell alone is what it boils down to. I think that's all most people want, is to be left alone at some point and to have their own little pocket of reality that they can back off to, their own sanctuary, their safe space, personal safe space, to get away from politics and social bullshit. Okay? And I think intently about for example, the alphabet mafia agendas. And they're like, oh, there's no agenda, but everywhere you look, there it is. You can't get away from it. Telling me to celebrate it, telling me to notice it, telling me to look at it, telling me to accept it. I don't want to, because it's not for me. I don't like that. I don't want any part of it. If I want it, I know where the hell it is. I'll go find it. Stop bringing it and putting it on my doorstep. Stop trying to force feed it to me. Stop trying to feed it to my kids. Leave us the hell alone. I don't want it. It reminds me of the Monty Python. Any Monty Python fans out here? Do you remember the spam sketch? Spam, 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 spam. And the couple in the restaurant, and everything on the menu has spam. And the wife doesn't like spam. And she says, "Oh, I don't like spam. I don't want any spam." And the waiter was like, "Well, everything has spam." She says, "Can I get the eggs and sausage without spam?" And he says, "No, ma'am, we can't do that." And the husband is like, "Well, why don't you have the eggs, spam, sausage, and spam? It doesn't have much spam in it." And she was like, "But I don't like spam." And everybody in the table in the background is spam, 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 spam. And everything on the menu has a crap ton of spam in it, except for the spam, egg, sausage, and spam, which only has a little bit. That's your alphabet mafia agenda. That's most of your leftist agendas right there. That's all this crap that we're being spoon-fed. Your EV cars, whatever it is. Replace whatever it is with spam in that sketch. I don't want to celebrate this. I don't want to recognize that. I don't want to go here. Okay, well, why don't you do this? It's only got a little bit in it. Just a little, a smidge. No. How about no? You should have the right to refuse. I refuse. And not be a coward about it. I refuse. Well, why not? Because I choose to. I don't need to give you an explanation. I choose to. You have a right to choose. And they're trying to take that from you. They're trying to run you down. It's insulting. It's crushing. It's soul crushing. And you can't escape it anywhere. You can't escape it in the movies, in television, in comics, like Brian said here, in video games, in regular literature, magazines, sporting events. You can't get the hell away from it. The commercials. You got to see this garbage in commercials. All sort of stuff. All sorts of stuff. Cruising says they found an after-school video that did a great job of showing how the love bombing from the alphabet mafia draws in people and conditions them. Interesting. Interesting. And Helter says that's one of the reasons why Japanese animation is popular. The Japanese can create a fun narrative that doesn't have any of the leftist woke. And if they have something that's that way, it's just there. And you can look at it or not. Or if, manga, read it or not. Anime, look at it or not. And the other stuff doesn't. I understand that. I mean, it's in everything. It was in Avengers Endgame. Captain America really needed to sit in an AA meeting with a gay guy crying about his date with his boyfriend. How does that tie into the Marvel universe? The scene, it was shoehorned in there so badly. It had nothing at all to do with it. Nothing. They're killing us. They're killing us. I mean, and then they tell you there's no agenda. There's no agenda. No. There's no agenda. Every show you see's got to have the gay guy in it. But there's no agenda. I don't know anybody who's gay, or if I do, they didn't tell me. And I don't need them to showcase it. I don't need them standing on my door with a flag. And that's it right there, Puck. Normalization, says Puck. Puck is correct. Normalization is exactly what that is. They're trying to make it seem normal, but we all know it isn't. We all know it isn't. But too many people are afraid to speak up and have a voice about it. And Monkey says, to quote Sandlot, "You're killing us, Smalls." Yeah, bit by bit, death by 1,000 paper cuts is what that is, Monkey. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Slice you to bits and bleed you out and sell the plasma after they squeeze it out of your blood. Which, by the way, you sell plasma. I did the video on that a long time ago. Very little of that actually goes to medication. A lot of it ends up in cosmetics, but most of the medication that's made from it has two functions, if I remember this correctly. One is for burn victims, and the other is for HIV medication. So, connections, strings, threads, tie it together. Threads. That was a very difficult post-apocalyptic movie to watch for anyone who's seen it. And Paul says he missed the start again. That's all right, Paul. You can watch the replay. We were in rare form today. Urban says, got to run. Yeah, actually, it's time to sign off. We're at the top of the hour. So you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and that is at Coffee Talk Live or at Prepper University on YouTube, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please do join us there if you'd like to take part in the conversation, as well as at Coffee Talk Chat on X, formerly known as Twitter. And Fistful of Radio, fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta, Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Special thanks to Brian, who made a donation to the channel today. Always appreciated. Goes a long way towards helping us with our shelter animals. And again, thanks to everyone else who was able to join us here today and spend some time with us. Always appreciated, and hope you got something out of the conversation. And with that, we'll go ahead and sign off, and we